Hello. It's a beautiful day today here in the Ohio Pile, Laurel Highland area of Pennsylvania. Absolutely and utterly gorgeous. I was kind of worried, to be honest with you, this morning. Well, a little more than a kind of worried. We woke up and it was all cloudy and dark, which that's not a big deal. And then all of a sudden it just started pouring down rain. And it was just like one of those things where I was just shaking my head like, I swear, can my luck get any worse in life? But then by about 9 o'clock, everything cleared up enough so we could go out hiking. We went out down to the actual town of Ohio Pile, and there's a peninsula down there, and we took a hike on that. Then we took a hike on the rail trail down there, and had a good day overall. So I guess it just goes to show you that you never know how the day is going to be by how it starts. That's probably another good philosophy. Whenever I get around to writing a book, I should have that in there. The chapter of you never know how the day will be from how it starts. It can start off really horrible, and then get a lot better. So I think we're going to walk over this way today. So we're going to walk over in this general direction today. Because as I say, this is a very big RV park. And hopefully over here, there won't be very curious kids. So yesterday when I was walking around, I had some curious kids on bicycles come up to me and go, "Oh my golly, are you a YouTube person?" And then they kind of sort of want to go away. And again, the problem with kids is, all that legal stuff, all that fair use crap everybody else whines about. Well, the issue with kids is, especially if they go home and tell their mom or dad they got videotaped on a YouTube video, is, using kids in videos where you make money, that can run into a bit of problems. So I kept having to point the camera away from them, just to keep them out of the footage. And so that's a pain in the butt. So hopefully if we're over here, we won't have kids bugging us today. Because again, it's one of those things that you do have to concern yourself with. Did they come up to me? Yes. Was I minding my own business? Yes. But if I start videotaping them, then you can run into all kinds of issues. And as I have said before with many subjects when it comes to YouTube content creation, why go within 50 miles of that border? You know what I'm saying? I mean, like I say, there's this whole argument right now, like I say, with the whole fair use thing, and yet another person is getting sued. And I keep going back to the same old question I had a long time ago, is like, why the hell is everybody screwing with other people's intellectual property to the point that they can get sued? If you stay 50 miles away from the border, you don't have to worry about the border guard screwing with you. It's just one of those things. It's one of those lessons in life that I learned a long time ago. Just stay, unless you really have to, unless what you're doing, it's incredibly vital that you do something, why mess with it? So that's my thought. So that's why we'll be wandering over here. And this area obviously is a lot more empty. So I showed you folks the video yesterday where there's a lot of permanent RVs at this particular park. And so this is the area where people just come in for the night or the week or so forth. So again, basically when you rent an RV spot, essentially what you're doing is you are renting a parking space. And then with the parking space, what happens is you pull your RV here and you get your little picnic table and your fire ring or whatever. And then back here what you have, this is where your hookups are. So whenever you get an RV space, it'll tell you how many hookups you have. So this is sewer. This is where you put your sewer line. And then this is your water. So basically this is just where you plug in your garden hose. This is your power. So whenever you get power, it'll either be a 30 amp or a 50 amp. So that's where you get your power, or the 110 there. And then this is where you can get your cable connections. You can even get cable at these places. And that gives you all of your stuff. So that is one thing when you're gonna get a travel trailer, an RV, just things to think about when you are renting your little parking spot or whatever, your RV spot, is they will tell you what hookups, what connections they're gonna give you. And the price for your place will vary depending. So there are some places where you get no hookups. So especially with like national parks or state parks, you have to be careful with this. Be careful with it, because essentially with these travel trailers and RVs, you have propane tanks, so you have gas. They actually have internal water tanks, so we have like a 40-gallon freshwater internal tank, and then you have your gray water and black water tanks. And you have batteries. So more or less, they're self-contained things. It's a pain in the ass to use them as self-contained things, but they are self-contained things. So what you can do is, if you go to state parks or national parks, one thing to realize is a lot of times they will give you no hookups whatsoever. And so that means you have to bring everything in. Then, beyond that, you can go everything from no hookups to full hookups. So you'll see things like, where they'll say, like water and electric. So what that means is you can have water come in to your travel trailer, and you have electric come into your travel trailer, but your gray water and black water tanks, you can't flush them. So they'll have a dump station where you can do that. Now, whether or not that matters to you is really, it depends. If you're staying someplace for like a day or two, not having a connection to the sewer line isn't any big deal. Because, I found with a black water tank, our black water tank, basically, you can store at least 7 days of poo, pee, and all that kind of stuff in there. If you're only staying a couple of days, then not having a sewer hookup is fine. But if you are going to be staying longer, it can be an issue, because basically what you have to do then is you have to connect your trailer or the RV, actually pull it out, take it to the dump station, dump everything out, and then put it back. It's not horrible, but it is probably about an hour process. So, it's one of those things that if you don't have to do it, you probably don't want to do it. On the other hand, though, if you're only staying for a day or two, do realize you can save like $10 a night if you don't get full hookups. So that's something to think about. But when you come in, again, you can get no hookups, you can get water and sewer, you can get full hookups. The other thing will be whether you get 50 amp or 30 amp service. So with the travel trailers and the RVs, the electric is the amperage in the trailer itself. So we have a 30 amp service. So basically we can go anywhere. Some of the RVs, they actually require a 50 amp service. And so again, that's just one of those things that you just have to keep in mind. So the nice thing, like with ours, is like, so we have a 30 amp service. So we have an adapter that can plug into 50 amp service, and that just downgrades the electricity, steps down the electricity. Or we can actually plug it into a 110. But if we plug into a 110, then we don't get an air conditioner. So that's the kind of thing you have to worry about with power. So you might be able to use 30 amp service maybe on a 50 amp, but then you might not be able to use something. So like we can plug in and we can use our TV and we can use our lights and we can use other things, but we can't use the air conditioner. And now if it's a day like today where it's 54 degrees, not using the air conditioner is no big deal. But if it's 95 degrees, that can be a pain in the butt. This is kind of nice. I wonder what this is. Just a random feel. Walk back this way. Oh, so where are we at now? About the 8-minute mark. I'm a little tired today, I have to say. This is the first day we went out there and really did some hiking. My legs are kind of feeling it a little bit. Again, I feel so that whole Asia trip really didn't go how I thought it was going to go. I thought I was going to go to Asia, and I was going to get all this exercise and work out and get a good tan. And then I ended up being sick most of the time. So anyway, I'm not in the physical condition I thought I was going to be at this point in the summer. So after a day of hiking, I'm definitely more tired than I was expecting, but no big deal. That's one of those things, if you're not in the physical condition you wanted to be in, the only way to get into the physical condition is to actually go out there and do exercise. I see that with so many people. Again, like I say, the difference between successful people and failures is they're the people that they go out there and they feel tired and they're like, oh, I'm not in shape to do this. And then they just give up. And I've never understood those people. Because it's like, I understand if you're not in shape to do something. That's obviously, that's okay. That's how things go. But then how are you ever going to get in shape if you never actually go out there and do it? That's what so many people there do. They act like being in shape or anything else. Like it's just like one of those things, like either you are or you're not. And you're like, well, however you gotta get in good condition if you don't actually go out there and exercise and do something. They never like it when I say things like that. They never like it when I say things like that. Oh, well, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? You folks will know, I've been getting a lot of comments, and I do read a lot of the comments. I do read a lot of the comments on Fail Normal, because I'm thankful to say that Fail Normal still has very nice comments on it. I like having a small channel. I like having a little 7,000 subscriber channel is very nice, because you still have like decent people on it. That is one thing to realize, like if you have a YouTube channel, and your YouTube channel grows, the larger the subscriber base, the worse the comments get. Like the exponentially worse the comments get. I don't know why that is, but it really is true. Even with Eli the Computer Guy, when I had less than 100,000 subscribers, everybody was wonderful and nice and kind, and they were great people. And then like I say, now at 700,000 subscribers, the only way I can keep it sane is simply because I use the ban hammer so much. Simply because I am so willing to ban the hell out of people, then it keeps the comments decent. But it is weird, like even with Eli the Computer Guy, like you think about that. I mean, that video channel is all about how can you be successful in the technology world. It's all basically free education and advice. And you get a lot of nastiness. But here, thankfully, we're down to that 7,000 subscriber mark. So I don't have a lot of horrible people on here yet. So I do read your comments. And one of the big comments that's been coming up is this whole thing about a certain subject area I have talked about a lot lately. And people have said, I hope to hell this channel doesn't turn into that one subject area. And I won't even say the specific name of that subject area, because I do agree that subject area has run its course. So all of you folks know, like I say, with this channel, basically when I do these videos, since I'm doing an hour video every day, a lot of the videos are kind of like rambling, basically train of thought. And so there's a certain subject area I've been talking about lately, simply because, oh my golly, that's an Airstream. Holy crap, you see that tiny little thing? See that like cute little thing right there? Oh. Yeah, that is the Apple. That is like the Apple of RVs, because I'm telling you, that little thing right there probably costs like $40,000. And you think I'm joking. So it's like, see that one beside it? See that big old thing beside it? That probably costs like $25,000 or $30,000 maybe. And that costs $40,000. So again, just like with many things in life, you have to decide what is valuable to you. Do you want the little thing that is built really, 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 really well and will last generations? Or the big comfortable thing, it's probably gonna die after 10 to 15 years, but it's gonna be a lot more comfortable. Again, that's one of the decisions you have to make in life. Wow, that's one of those little guys. You don't see those little guys very often. Just because, again, if somebody has enough money for an Airstream, why are they gonna spend that much money for that little guy? That is so adorable. That is cute. But it is. You go to their website, and that little guy is like $42,000, $43,000, $45,000. They're expensive as hell for that little thing. Like seriously, that little thing right there is significantly more expensive than my travel trailer, and you've seen the inside of it. But people pay. That's the whole thing. Like people are like, oh, that's stupid. Oh, that's a ripoff. No, it's not a ripoff. If people are happy to pay, then it's not a ripoff. And again, as long as there's options. Again, there's a zillion different options out here for like travel trailers. Because that's what I hate with people. Like with Apple or any of these like high-end products like Apple or Tesla or Airstream, people say, oh, that's a ripoff. It's like, no, it's not a ripoff, because there's a lot of other options out there. You don't have to buy an Airstream. You can buy we have a Kingston? I don't know. Anyways, there's a lot of different ones out there. So if you want to stake the same amount of money and buy something else, that's up to you. It's like they are giving you an option. They are saying, this is a world-class product. If you want to buy a world-class product, it will cost this much money. If you don't want to buy a world-class product, it won't. Again, like I said with Apple, I don't understand that with like people with Apple. Oh, they give Apple all kinds of crap about how expensive their products are. But that's the thing. Apple isn't forcing anybody to buy their products. It's not like you have to buy their products. There's a lot of options out there. You can buy an Asus, you can buy a Lenovo, you can buy a Dell, you can buy a System 71, you can buy a lot of different types of computers out there. They are just saying, this is the one that we sell, and it happens to be this amount of money. And again, now that I've owned my MacBook Pro for 2.5 years, getting really close to 3 years, I have to say, it is worth every single dime that I paid for it. Every single dime, that like $2,600 I paid for that stupid MacBook Pro laptop. Because I'm telling you, after 3 years, that is the only computer I've ever owned that still does everything it needs to do completely perfectly. Like literally, if somebody offered me a new computer tomorrow for absolute free, this is the only laptop or computer I've ever owned where I'd have to be like, you know, to be honest with you, I like the computer I already have. The computer I have is already set up. It already does what I need to do. You know what? You're going to give that to me for free? I'd prefer not. It really is. It's worth the money. So again, this whole thing with everybody being like, oh, that's a ripoff. Oh, stop. It's only a ripoff if they lie to you, right? You know, if you spend $2,600 on a MacBook Pro and then you boot it up and it's Ubuntu, then you got ripped off. Then you can bitch all you want. But if you boot it up and it's OS X version, whatever the hell it is now, I mean, you got what you paid for. Anyways, that's just my little thought there. It is funny, like all of these little travel trailers or whatever, you know, all these like so many decks and all that kind of stuff built onto them. But anyways, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, subject area. So a certain subject area people have been complaining is like, oh, this channel isn't gonna be dedicated to this one subject area. And as I was saying, is no, actually, again, since we are back on the road, since we are traveling, since we are adventuring, since we're going into new and unexplored territories, I will be talking about different things. Is just, again, so everybody knows, again, since I talk for an hour a day, I talk 5 days a week. Again, it's a train of thought thing. So it's basically whatever the hell is on my mind at that time. And so I was talking about a subject area before. And basically I figured I would talk about that subject area, I don't know, like once every 2 weeks or something. And then just because of circumstances and everything else, it turned to be more than that. And so I kind of got onto a little bit of a broken record as far as that goes. But that broken record is ending. Not for bad reasons, not because I'm pissed off or I'm irritated or anything else. Just because that thing has kind of run its course. So if you know what I'm talking about, then yes, subject area is basically being put to rest. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry. Don't worry about it. But that is a thing, since I do kind of train of thought with a lot of these things, a lot of these videos, just so you folks realize, there's a lot of interesting concepts with all of these different situations. And so one situation or one set of situations may occur, and there may be 10 or 20 different interesting videos I can talk about there. And so if you're like, why do you keep talking about this? Basically, it's the whole thing of, well, if you're annoyed at me talking about this now, just come back in a week and it should be over. Because again, I mean, my plan, my goal with Fail Normal is more or less 5 days a week, 1 hour a day for, well, however long I can do this. So anyways, that's a good thing too. Now that I'm getting a back catalog, now that I've been doing these videos for five months now, I think I've been doing these. So if you are bored with the topics I'm talking about now, you can go to the back catalog and see the things I talked about before. So yeah, as far as subject areas, I know a few folks may get irritated if I seem like a broken record sometimes. But again, sometimes that's just the process that I use. As I say, being able to talk into a camera for an hour at a shot is an interesting thing. It is both more and less difficult than you would realize. But anyways, with that, I wanted to talk about this whole idea of adoption today. Adoption. Because this question has been coming up quite a bit lately. And it is an annoying, tedious, horrible question that nobody should be asking. But since people are asking, I figure, what the hell, I will do a video on it. So as I've talked about before, kind of like with the whole concept of Fail Normal, and the things that I'm doing in life right now is one of the big issues. So I met my wife almost 11 years ago. That is ridiculous. I shouldn't be able. I don't feel like I should be old enough to say I've done anything 11 years ago. But anyways, 11 years ago, I randomly ran into my wife. One thing led to another. We de facto moved in together after three days. We officially moved in together after 3 weeks. We owned a house together after 4 months. We had a dog. We had a dog after 5. Unfortunately, that one died within 3 days from parvo. And then we had another dog within a year. And so basically one thing led to another. Within 2 years, we were married. And basically, I thought that we would be going down the path and having kids and all that kind of stuff. So I was not one of those people that ever really thought about getting married. I didn't think about marriage much one way or the other. I figured it'd just be kind of annoying, to be honest with you. But then I fell into that so easily, and then fell into having a townhouse so easily, and so kind of figured that we'd fall into having kids so easily. And so for about 10 years, basically the idea is that we were going down this path in life where we would have kids. And so if you're going to have kids, then, you leave the city, you go out to the suburbs, you get a nice big house in the suburbs, because even when you have kids and they're babies in the beginning, they're going to grow up bigger and you don't want to have to move later. So if you get a nice place now, it's just good. So we bought a big old house and decent area, blase. That was really great, except for the fact that my wife ended up having those 2 cancers, that thyroid cancer, and then a year later got diagnosed with breast cancer, literally with the breast cancer. She got diagnosed with breast cancer a month or something after we had closed on the house. It was just ridiculous. Literally, she had surgery for the breast cancer. Oh, was it a week or something? It was right before we were moving into our house. It was just right. And so with one thing and another and another and another, basically what we realized is that kids, or biological kids, I suppose, were essentially off the table. And so, sitting there in a huge house with this life that I had created around the idea of having biological kids, that is where we kind of sort of get to today, where it's okay, so I'm financially successful and professionally successful and I have all these wonderful things, but the entire point was we were going to be having kids, and now kids are basically off the table. So what do we do next? Well, fuck it. Let's do things like hop in a travel trailer and travel around the country and do all of that kind of stuff, right? So even basically, like I said, the idea with fail normal is essentially that's a question. Is this did we fail at being normal, or did normalcy fail us? Because that's one of the things I dislike. Everybody always tries to interrupt me whenever I say anything. I feel like I get these good sound bites every once in a while. There are these really good concepts. And then I try to tell people these good concepts, and then they just kind of run over me. They're like, you didn't fail, Eli, you didn't fail. It's well, yeah, but it's not really about me failing. It's more like I say, it's that fun, it's kind of like that question. And I think maybe once you get to be 40, you understand it a little bit better. But again, it is that question. Have we failed at normalcy? Or has normalcy failed us? Right? And that's like I said, that's the big, I don't know, existential question that kind of surrounds this entire channel. But of course, whenever you talk about not being able to have kids biologically, every dipshit in the world decides to raise their hand and say, hey, what about adoption? Haven't you thought about adoption? You should think about adoption. And okay, let me be a little blunt here, if it doesn't sound like I've been being blunt enough before. But let me tell you, as far as asking people about adoption, when they say they're not having kids biologically, here's the deal. If you're their mommy, their daddy, their best friend, or maybe their sibling, that is an acceptable question. If you are anybody else in the world, stop acting like a half-out alcoholic trailer trash. It is not your place to ask such an asininely stupid question. And I really want people to understand that. When you ask people who say that they can't have kids biologically, well, haven't you thought about adoption? And again, they're over like 18 years old. I mean, it is one thing, like, I don't know, maybe you have a guy and girl that get married at 20, and then she has like, I don't know, ovarian cancer, and it's like, oh, I can't have kids. I don't know, maybe if she's like 21 or 22, bringing up adoption might be reasonable, because again, 21, 22, maybe just something that they haven't thought about. But when you talk with somebody like in their mid to late 30s, early 40s about adoption, it's just like, it's beyond tacky. It's just a beyond a horrible question to ask. Because the problem is what the hell is a person supposed to tell you, right? Because if they are, again, above 25, the reality is they probably have thought about adoption. They have probably thought about adoption a lot. And there's probably a reason that they've also taken adoption off the table. Now the thing is when you start talking about adoption, you start taking things off the table, the reality is the reason you do things like take adoption off the table is because of less than happy-go-lucky things, right? Because that's the thing. Like when you take biological kids off the table, most of the time that's something that there's a good logical explanation for, and B, people don't have to worry about that personally. People don't take it personally. Again. You have ovarian cancer and they remove your ovaries. Again, there's no personal failure there, right? There's no emotion, there's no ego involved. Again, once you start talking about adoption, and you start asking like, hey, why don't you go out and pick yourself up a Chinese or a Korean? I've heard Russians are good, right? Well, that brings up a lot of deeper issues that people probably don't want to go into, and especially when you bring it up kind of randomly. Then what the hell are they supposed to say? You know what I'm saying? Like if you have feelings or if you have concerns about your mental stability or something like that, what are you supposed to do? Look at this random person who says, hey, haven't you thought about adoption? And you look at them and go, well, I did think about adoption, but I kind of every once in a while have homicidal tendencies, and I'm a little worried I'll bash your brains in. Like, is that something that you're just gonna put out there? Or again, like financial concerns. Well, yes, I have thought about adoption. But frankly, my career sucks so much, I'm not sure how I'm even going to pay the rent past this month, much less be able to deal with kids and all that kind of thing. Because that's the thing, like when you have a kid, when you have a biological kid, it just kind of happens. Again, like I say, usually with couples, they're going along, even if they're being careful, they make a mistake, and all of a sudden it's gonna come. Right? You don't get a lot of decision in this, and so the nice part is since you don't get a lot of decision in this, a lot of a certain type of worry is taken off, right? Because when you can make a decision, you have to think about all of these concepts, you have to think about all this stuff, you have to make all these big decisions. When you make an oopsie, and then you find out you're gonna be getting a present 9 months later, well, then you've just got to deal with it. That's a lot easier, in some ways, in a psychological fashion. Whereas, like I say, if you go out there and you're going to adopt, adoption, depending on where you do it and who you do it with, can actually end up being very, very, very quick. Hey, look at that. You can buy one if you want it. So if you like this area that much, you can buy that Breckenridge right there, right? But anyways, so that's the thing. So like with the adoption, and so there's all these other concepts that come in. And so, again, if somebody randomly comes up to you, like, well, haven't you thought about adoption? It's like, what the hell are you supposed to say? You know what I'm saying? Like what in the hell are you supposed to say? Well, right? And so I will talk about it a bit today. I'll talk about it a bit today, because that's what I do. Again, with my weird-ass little Asby brain. It has some bad sides, but at least one of the good sides is, again, I'm usually ridiculously honest about a lot of things, just because why the hell wouldn't I be? Again, I don't understand why people lie so much. There's so much lying and so much, evasiveness. I don't really get how that helps anybody. But anyways, so why are we not adopting? Why am I not into the whole adoption thing? Well, here's a big thing for me, right? The big thing for me with the whole adoption thing, and one of the things that I think a lot of people miss the concept of, is that you are actually adopting another human being. You're taking responsibility for another human being for 18 or 16 or 12 years. Technically, But in reality, you're actually signing on for their entire life, right? When you're gonna adopt somebody, you're gonna adopt a kid. The idea is you are then taking on the parental responsibility for that person for their entire life. To mentor, the role model, to wipe their butt and do the diaper. If they get into a car accident, deal with all that kind of stuff. You are taking responsibility for all of that. And I think that's one of the problems a lot of people run into when they decide to have kids or when they decide to adopt, is a lot of people don't really realize that they're taking responsibility for another human life. Like they think it's like they're taking responsibility for a kid. Like, I'm adopting a kid. And again, whenever we use words, one of the problems you run into is by using different words, different like little synapses or whatever go off in the brain, and so you think about things different ways. And so when you think about a kid, you have a certain idea of what a kid is. You have biases towards what a kid is. A kid is this, or a kid is that, or a kid is another thing. The issue is if you think about it as simply a small, naive human being, and that kind of gives you an entirely different context. So again, if you think about, I'm going to adopt a kid, and you have an idea there, and you think about playing in sandboxes, and you think about going to McDonald's, and you think about all these different things. Whereas if you say, I am going to take perpetual responsibility for another human being, then you think about things again, like how they think, their emotional stability. Let's go up here. All of that kind of stuff. It's an entirely different concept. And so I think that's one of the problems, is people have kids, and when they have kids, they have this idea of what a kid is. And the thing that they miss is that a kid is simply a small human being. And so guess what? The small human being is not going to do everything you want. It is not always going to make you proud. It is not always going to follow in your footsteps. It's going to do a lot of annoying, tedious crap that basically you have signed on for because, well, for whatever reason that you have signed on for. But a lot of people, again, they go into this, they think of it like a kid, again. And I see that as a big issue. I see that as like, because that's the thing, like you get a kid, that's the thing, you get a 3-year-old, and they're fun, and they're cute, and they're great, and they're wonderful, and you get to play and go to McDonald's and all that. But again, then they're going to be 9, and then they're going to be 12, and then they're going to be 32 at some point. And again, when they're 32, they're still going to be looking to you for certain things. And so it's like, do you really want to sign on for all of that? And again, like I say, when we're talking about adoption, that's basically what you're signing on for. It's like you're buying a dog that's going to outlive you. I know that seems a little harsh, but it really is kind of one of the things. And so that's one of the questions. That's what you really have to think about. And I think if a lot of people really thought about it, they would probably bail. So you see a lot of very unhappy parents out there. You see a lot of people, even that get into adoption, and that they're very unhappy. Because again, they think like the kid is like a magical thing. I will get this magical kid, and then it will do A, B, C, D, and X, Y, and Z. And it's like, no, you will get this magical kid, and then you will wipe its ass, and you will feed it, and you will pay for a lot of stuff. And guess what? The damn thing might go completely insane at some point. And then you'll have to pay for mental illness and all that kind of stuff. Right? Because that's the thing. You're bringing in a human being. So for me, when I look at adoption, that's the whole thing. Is do I want to take responsibility for a lifetime for another human being? And I have to say overall, not particularly. Not particularly. I know that's not like a politically correct thing to say. But again, I'm not here to say the politically correct thing. I'm looking at the world, and I am 40 years old, and I look at the stuff that I can do, and it's just like, do I really want to volunteer to take on that kind of responsibility for another random human being? And again, the thing too is like when you adopt kids, I have a lot of friends who are adopted, and I've seen the whole adoption thing. Especially with adopted kids, there's a whole bunch of baggage. There's a whole bunch of additional stuff that you're taking on board that you may not realize. Again, like feelings of insecurity, like this whole idea of, if the kid knows that they're adopted, why did their real parents give them up? What was wrong with them that their real parents gave them up? And you look at them, you're like, dude, your real parents were 16 years old. They barely knew how to drive a car, much less pay a mortgage. That's why they gave you up. But again, no matter how much you say that to the people, I've seen like friends of mine, like I said, that have been adopted, and they understand logically. They grasp logically why they were quote unquote given up. But that doesn't mean, there is a logical understanding of something, and then there is the actual being able to accept that. The problem that they run into is being able to accept that kind of thing. And so, like I say, you're bringing this kid into your life, and again, who may have a lot of issues. Like, I had a buddy of mine who ended up not being a buddy because he really did have a lot of, oh my golly, oh, this poor bastard, right? So he got adopted when he was like 2 or 3 years old. Well, here was the thing. What the adopted parents didn't know is that he had been like sexually abused. Like, who the hell sexually abuses a 2-year-old? Well, apparently, just when you thought the world couldn't get that much worse, yes, people horribly sexually abuse like 2 and 3-year-olds. And so he had been like abused at like 2 or 3. And the thing was, and I knew because I met his sister, because so there was a couple, and they adopted his sister and they adopted him. The sister, nothing had really happened to her. She had just gotten adopted like normally. Him, they didn't know about this shit. They didn't even know about this shit when they adopted this guy. And then the problem was, all of this like aggression issue came out when he was like 15 or 16 years old. And they finally ended up emancipating him because he and his father got into an argument, and he damn near put his adopted father into the hospital. You know what I'm saying? like a lot of people don't realize, like when you talk about like emotional issues and all that kind of stuff, there's a lot of stuff that tracks with you for a long time. And again, when you're adopting a kid, you don't really know. You know, what everybody wants to talk about, that's what I always try to talk about in these videos, is everybody has like this politically correct version of things, like this happy-go-lucky, oh, isn't everything great, isn't everything wonderful? And then when something bad happens, people think, oh, it must be their fault. Everybody else, it was wonderful. Everybody else, it was great. I must be wrong. I must be bad since something bad happened to me. And it's just like, no, a lot of bad stuff happens. Just nobody else talks about it, right? And so that's the thing. Like I said, I had friends who had adopted, and I've talked with them about it. And again, I mean, they talk about how like screwed up they are. And like I said, even he said it wasn't his father's fault. He was like, he said, my adopted father is a bit of an ass, but I shouldn't have tried to put him into a hospital. I'm like, Jesus Christ. So that's the thing. When you adopt a kid, you're getting all this additional stuff in. And so those are the kinds of things like I think about, like I said, with adopting a kid. So this is, for an entire lifetime, blase, blase, blase. The other thing for me, what I have to think about is, again, as I talk about, I am an Aspie to the bone. Again, I know a lot of people laugh at me when I say that I'm an Aspie. They're like, you can't be an Aspie. Look at how well you communicate. And then I look at them and I say, yes, I talk into a video camera an hour to an hour and a half a day, without any prodding, without any goading, without any interaction. Since when is that normal? Since when is that neurotypical behavior? You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's just not normal. I mean, again, it's profitable, it's valuable, it is useful to society, but it definitely is not normal, right? But anyways, so I got this whole Aspie thing going on. And as I've talked about in life, as I always say, as far as the flying spaghetti monster goes, basically, I'm pretty sure that the flying spaghetti monster has an opinion of me. Again, I'm not sure it's a good opinion of me or a bad opinion of me, but I'm pretty sure it has an opinion of me. And one of the reasons is because how odd and strange and bizarre, basically, the breadth and width of my life has been, especially even going back into childhood. And so one of the things for me is growing up, again, whenever I talk about my life, one of the reasons why I will never do a draw of my life is it's just too fucking confusing. Like, as I say, if you want to know about my life, come over with a 6-pack, we'll drink the 6-pack, and then, I don't know, play some video games or something. It's like, yeah. At the end of it, we'll be drunk, and you won't have any more idea what was going on. It's very confusing for me even to figure out. But anyways, when I was growing up, that was a thing. Especially part of that whole 80s culture. I had a very weird familial groupings. So I had family members that were obviously blood, so all my blood family members are around. Plus I had all the step family members, so I had a huge step family member community. And then I had like ancillary people, so people that weren't blood and weren't step, but filled in for parental roles. And so I got to have the experience of all of these types of parental type people, right? So you have the people that you actually have the blood connection to, you have the people that are tightly connected with your family that you don't have the blood connection to, and then you have these people that God knows what the hell is going on, but somehow they can tell you, what your bedtime is at night and that kind of stuff. And it was interesting. And again, as I talk about, again, there were some things lacking in my life, but there were other things that were, I had a lot of love when I was growing up. I had a lot of caring. I had a lot of people that cared about me through weird ways. They did it in weird ways sometimes, but they did, right? And so I got to deal with all these people and interact with them throughout my childhood and see how all that is. And so one of the things that I found in the real world, and got to see from many different angles, is the fact that blood really is thicker than water. So I don't know if you're from like the Virginia, Southern Maryland type area. Back when I was growing up, there's a phrase. It's called blood is thicker than water. And essentially what that means is that blood is family, and that water is everybody else. So essentially, you care about family, and everybody else is everybody else. And that's one of those things like Southern people say. You're like, wow, that sounds kind of cool. But in reality, I think there's a lot of value in that statement, because it's one of those things that you're politically not allowed to say, but I think in reality is very true, where you have a connection with blood family members that you don't have with other people. Or I don't know about you. I'm not going to talk about you. I'm going to talk about me. What I know is that I can have the exact same conversation or the exact same argument or the exact same disagreement or the exact same agreement with a family member I share blood with and somebody in the familial grouping that I don't share blood with. And here's the thing, the one that I share blood with, I will continue to tolerate and deal with and figure it the hell out. The one I don't share blood with, I could give a fuck if they jump off a bridge. Again, I know you're not supposed to say that, but it really kind of be true, right? There is something weird. There is something that goes down to the little lizard brain area, where it's like, the people that you have a direct lineage to or whatever, then there is more tolerance for those two people. There's more willingness for give and take versus the people that, even though they share basically the same position, you don't have that familial lineage with. And so one of the issues that I see for me, as far as something like adoption is concerned, is, again, I'm a bit of a weird person. Again, it's not necessarily a bad thing. Again, everybody always wants to make things out into good or bad things. And again, there are some things that aren't necessarily good or bad. They just happen to be true. And so, like, for me, I am not the most, maybe a kind person, loving, but it's like, I'm not the person you want to go to if you're wondering why you're on the planet. You know what I'm saying? Like if you need self-assurance, if you need reassurance about your place in the universe, I am simply and utterly not the person to go to. Not the person at all. Because the reality is I have no idea why any of us are here. Again, as I say, as far as everybody asking the question why, I think that's a stupid question to ask. I think the only reason most people ask why are they here is because they've been told that they should ask why they're here. And what is things like what are your value? Your value is nothing. Again, at the end of today, 1 billion people are going to go to bed hungry. You know what I'm saying? Like tens of millions of kids are going to die this year for easily curable conditions. So again, when you start thinking about like why are you valuable, the reality is you aren't valuable. You happen to be in a place that has, good infrastructure and a good society, and therefore the society will take care of you. But again, if they plop you in a different location, there's no value. You'll be hungry or die or get whatever disease, so on and so forth, just like everybody else. And so that's like the problem that I see is like, if I bring in like an adopted kid that I'm supposed to be taking care of, I just don't have that blood connection to the person. And I would be highly concerned for that kid. I'm not sure it would be a great thing for the kid, to be honest with you. I know a lot of people are like, oh no, you'd make a great parent. And I think as a parent, I would be a pretty good parent. Like as a blood parent, I think I'd make a good parent, an okay parent. But as like I say, that adopted kid, because if I don't share that connection, if I don't share that bond, like I say, there's just that, I don't know. How do you say it? Just that, yeah, right? Why am I here? What the hell do you want me to tell you? Especially, imagine if they're sane. Like, what if they were actually, like it was funny, like before I was talking about, oh, what if they're insane? Like, what if I adopted, me and my wife adopted a sane kid? What if they're completely and utterly sane? Oh, that would be horrible. That would be horrible. A poor little sane kid just be like, I just want to grow up to be an accountant. I mean, oh, don't you understand that accounting is just a gimmick of the system? It's like, I don't care. I just want a normal mortgage, like normal people. Oh, that would be a horrible thing. But anyways, kind of like that random wandering around. That's my thought about why I don't want to adopt a kid. It's because, like I say, there is this weird, like I say, I've seen step parents, I've seen all these. And like I say, there's caring and love and all that, but it's different. There really is like a difference. And so for me, like I say, connecting with people is such a rather difficult thing too, that I just don't buy it. I know a lot of people are like, oh, it'll be fine. I think that's horrible too, right? So you have all these people out there that are willing to admit their weaknesses, willing to admit their problems, but then people refuse to accept that and then try to convince them to do things that will probably end up going pretty badly. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, when I think about adopting a kid, I'm not really sure how that goes well. Again, like I say, a year, well, I'm sure it'll be fine. 2 years, sure, fine. 5 years, maybe fine. Like I say, once they get to like 12, 13, 14, once they're asking those bigger questions in life, I'm just thinking it's not gonna go great. And again, too, you have all these people, they think like, oh, your parent or whatever is supposed to connect with you in a certain way. Yeah, I don't think it'll go well. I just really don't. So that's kind of my thought with it. But yeah, again, like I say, with some people though, I try to force you into it. No, you'll be fine. And again, I think that's why so many people are so damn miserable. And that's why I get annoyed when keep getting people bring up the adoption thing. Or like, oh, you'll be good at it. And you're like, can't you hear me saying that? No, I probably don't think I will be. And I think that so many people out there, again, you know what your own personal problems are. You know what your own personal issues are. And then people just keep pushing you to convince you that no, in reality, it'll be different than you think. But then the thing is, like I say, if you get a kid or whatever, I mean, that's an 18-year responsibility. Like, if you adopt a kid, and you get 2 years into it, and you realize, damn, that was a stupid idea, it's not like you can return the kid. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you can return the kid, like go back to JCPenney's and go, I know it's a little bit used, but I bought them in the catalog like 2 years ago, and you don't have to give me the full refund, but I'll take like a 50% refund off of it. It's not like you can do that. Like, once you get into it, you are in it. You are in it for the long haul, no matter how it goes. Yeah. So anyways, that's my rather rambling thought whenever anybody brings up the whole adoption thing. It's just like, don't. Who the hell are you to be asking me if I've thought about adoption? Are you my mom? Are you my dad? Are you a grandparent? No? Then fuck off. And I know that may seem a little harsh. You may be like, wow, that's a little harsh. But yeah, it really is. Because again, like, you get so many people like bringing that kind of thing up. And you're like, yeah, why do you think that's acceptable? Again, it's one of the things that I find kind of funny, because everybody always talks about like me being like autistic or Asperger's or whatever, and they're always like, oh yeah, well the reason Eli is however he is because he has Asperger's, and so they kind of like snicker about that or whatever. But then I wonder, and it's like, well, okay, I know why I can be a little wacky sometimes. Like, why do you find some of this stuff to be acceptable? All right? Because again, like I say, you run into some wacky ass people out there. So, well, have you thought about adoption? You're like, well, I would adopt, but I'm a raging alcoholic. That it's a miracle I haven't beat my wife to death. Like, what are you supposed to say? Again, like I say, if you have real issues, you're like, have you thought about adoption? Like, what? Again, most likely, like I say, if the person is over 22 years old, they probably have thought about adoption. So have you thought about it? Shut up. Shut up. Anyways. anyways, that's my rambling thing. Again, if a kid comes about naturally, we'll go with it that way. If not, I don't think either my wife and I are really that overly worried about it. Like, again, neither of us are really thought we were going to be hugely excited about the whole getting married thing. So we have been happily married now. I've been happily together for like 11 years. But again, like I say, the whole kid thing and all that, it's never been like an overriding drive for either of us. And again, she's my wife, so she's a bit odd too. And so that's the thing. It's just like, you know, you could adopt a kid. Or you could get that condo in South Beach. It's like, you know, I'm just saying from an investment standpoint. It's like, oh, that's horrible. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Is it really any more horrible than me trying to deal with an adopted kid? I just can't imagine how that would go. That would just have to go horribly. You know, I just sit there and I just think about it. You know, you just kind of gameplay. Kind of like play that out in your head. Like, you know how you were when you were a teenager, and you know how all your friends were when you were a teenager, and all that kind of stuff. And I think about, like, me dealing with, like, a non-blood teenager. I just can't imagine that going well. You know what I'm saying? Fuck you, you're not my father. Oh, really? Okay. And then they would, like, come home and they would be, like, evicted. All their stuff would be on the lawn. Like, what the hell? It's like, well, you told me I wasn't your father. So, your stuff's on the lawn. Figure it out. Ah! Right? And I know that sounds like a joke, but I think I might do something like that. Again, like I say, like if I adopted a kid, and again, kids go through their normal teenage years. I'm just not sure I would have, like, any tolerance for it. Again, like I say, the screw you, I always remember when I was a teenager, and again, I barely had tolerance for the normal teenager stuff with my own parents. And again, like I say, there were blood and all that. Like I say, somebody that I had taken into my home, that we had, like, raised up, and then like I say, they just do their normal teenager stuff. I'm not saying they'd be a horrible teenager or anything. I'm not saying, oh, they're the worst teenager in the world. I'm just saying they'd be a normal teenager. And I think I would have, like, zero patience for that. I think that would just go horribly bad, horribly quick. But that's my thought. That's my thought. The good thing is, we won't be adopting, so we don't have to worry about that. So, yeah, those are the thoughts for today. Those are the thoughts for today, since everybody's asking, why don't you adopt? Why don't you shut the hell up, bitch? It really is. It really, like, I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of funny what people think are reasonable questions to ask of other people. It's just like, yeah. Because again, like I say, what are you going to do when you get the answer? You know. Anyways, probably be like most of you right now, like, oh my God, Eli is horrible. Eli, but it's true. But I think that's the thing, though. Like I say, just talking about this is, again, so many people have this idea of what a kid is. They have this idea in their head of what a kid is and what a kid means and how. And like I say, there's that idea, and I've heard, like, people tell me about that. You know, they're like, oh, but you will change once it happens. And you're like, I don't know. I think you'll change. I have a friend of mine who always said that, you know, people change, but not that much. I think that's the thing. I think, yeah, it'll change a little bit. Right? But there's this idea. It's like, oh, if we bring a kid into this, that will fix everything. Once we have a kid, and then we will learn responsibility. It's like, I'm not saying it doesn't happen. You know what I'm saying? But it's like the people that I know that get more responsible when they have kids, they're the people that actually want to be more responsible. They just kind of need a little push or a prod. It's kind of like, you know, it's kind of like having a little dog, right? It's kind of having like a little dog that wants to protect the house. And the dog doesn't really want to escape, but if there's no fence at all, the dog will run away. And so what you do is you put up like this little tiny nothing of a fence. You just put up like this little 1-foot fence, and then the dog is very happy staying at home and protecting the house. And it looks at the fence and goes, oh, I can't go any farther because there's a fence. I mean, the dog could like literally like walk over the fence, but because there's a fence there, it feels more comfortable just to protect the house. And so I feel that like with a lot of people, like there's a lot of people out there, that's the thing, is that they want to be more responsible. They want to do all of those social things or whatever. they just don't really have any reason to tie them into it. So they have a kid, and so it seems like they go from being wild and wacky to being very normal. But in reality, that's what they truly wanted in the first place. But then the problem that I see is a lot of people think, oh, having a kid changes you. And that's the thing, is they weren't really changed. That's what they wanted. And then the kid was kind of like the impetus to do what they already wanted. And then you get other people, and they go, oh, well, having a kid calmed those people down, so I'm gonna have a kid too. And then they have a kid, and it's just all horrible and nasty. Because guess what? Kids are real humans. They are real humans too, that need love and attention and affection and understanding and all this kind of stuff. You get so many parents out there like, no, but the kid was supposed to love me. No, what was supposed to happen is I get a kid, and the kid loves me, and I magically become more responsible in life, and everything just auto-magically becomes better. It's like, yeah, no, that's not really how it works. But anyways, I guess it's a good thing a lot of people have that idea, because that keeps the human race continuing. But I think I will bow out of that. Again, there's a lot of people out there that don't have kids. I'm fine with it. Again, like I say, if something happens, we randomly pop out one. Again, if it's blood, I think I can deal with that. Otherwise, not too worried about it. And again, too, it's like there's this weird thing, like, again, everybody tries to like attack you with fear. In the United States now, everything is this whole fear-based society. And so one of the things they talk about is, oh, but what's gonna happen when you get to be old? What's gonna happen in your old age? And I do have to say, the weird thing is that might have been like a viable argument, at least in the US. I don't know, maybe for my grandparents. But I have to tell you, as we keep plugging along, it's like, because I look at my like grandparents and their generation, and a lot of them go to old folks' homes, and they see their kids or their family members like very randomly anyway. And they just kind of think about it, and it's like, It's like seeing my kid like every, 4 months or 5 months when I'm 80 worth the trouble of having a kid. I just don't think I can do that math. I just don't think I can. It really is true. But again, there's this idea, like everybody has this idea in their head, again, like with kid, like, oh, when I'm 80 years old, who's gonna be taking care of me? It's like, it's probably not gonna be your kid, to be honest with you. Or if they do take care of you, again, is that really how you're gonna want to be taken care of? Yay! I have a kid who cares about me enough to pay for my nursing home. Yippity-doo-dah. I don't know. Maybe when I'm 80. Maybe when I'm 80 I will look at it differently. But I have to say, looking at it right now, it seems like a bum rap, to tell you. To be honest with you, it just doesn't sound like something that I think would be the most valuable. But maybe that's just me. But that's okay, because it's my decision. Or I guess me and my wife's decision. But anyways, so there we go. Been babbling at you for a good 57 minutes now. So I have given you a good hour of talk time for your having to put up with 15-second commercial. I'm very happy for that. Yeah, I do have to say, this Laurel Highlands seems like a very nice area. Again, I really hadn't thought a lot about Pennsylvania. I do have to say, I don't know why. Look, you look at these places in the country, and like some places you're like, wow, I really want to go there. Again, like Glacier National Park. I didn't know anything about Glacier National Park till I got there, but that was amazing. But there's other places like Pennsylvania, where you just kind of give them the middle finger. You're just like, I don't like Pennsylvania. Can't really say why you don't like Pennsylvania. Can't really say it's like a rational decision. You just kind of think that you don't. But now that I have to say, actually being here, I kind of like Pennsylvania. I have to say, I'm not gonna like move here or anything. It's not like, ooh, this is where I want to buy a condo. But I have to say, for like the whole vacation and that kind of stuff, seems like a pretty nice place. Like Ohio Pile is nice. Like I said, the other places we've been driving through today look very beautiful. Again, you can make your decision on how you like this particular RV park. Again, I like it. It's good, nice little place. Somebody's mowing the lawn. But anyways, it's probably a bit of babbling for today. Who knows if this made any sense? People are probably just shaking their heads right now, going, what the hell? What the hell is Eli talking about? Who knows? Who knows? Oh, look at that little puppy dog barking in the window. You see that? A tiny dog. That's the kind of dog I hope we get. So my wife has boxed me into a corner, so we will be getting a dog in the fall. And so basically, I have told her we can get a dog if it's an airplane-sized dog. So if you get a dog like under 20 pounds, you can actually bring it on the airplane with you as carry-on luggage. And so if we can bring our dog on an airplane as carry-on luggage, then I will accept the dog. So I think we're gonna be a little small one. Been looking at the Cairn Terriers. I've noticed a lot of the RV folks really like the Cairn Terriers. Those are nice little small dogs. But we'll see. We'll see. So anyways, that's babbling for today. Coming back to our nice little, and again, like I said, like as far as like price and all that is concerned, what you buy. So that right there would be 2/3 the cost of that tiny little Airstream you saw. That tiny little Airstream. So again, that's where you have to decide in life. What do you want to pay for? What are you willing to pay for? Me? When it comes to a computer, I'll buy a Mac. Otherwise, I like this little guy right here. So anyways, with that didn't make any sense. Everybody's like, oh my golly, he's so horrible. Eli, I didn't realize how horrible Eli was. He's just disturbing. That's true. It's just things you have to think about. And again, like I say, it is something to think about, like I say, with like family relations and all that kind of stuff, especially anybody like thinking about becoming a step parent, or you're like wandering into the parent role without blood relations. Because again, like I say, like with my family, it wasn't just that I got to see how I related to people and how they related to me, but I also had like step siblings and all. Just fucking mess. But I got to see how everybody interacted with everybody else. And again, it's not just that I didn't respect or didn't connect with blood relations the same way as I did, or non-blood relations the same way as I did with blood relations, is that you could see that other people didn't too. And it is, like I say, it's just one of those things to be thinking about if you're going to be going into that parental position. Because again, it's just, you know what I'm saying? If you share something, there's just something there that is just very, very innate. Couldn't tell you what it is, even for somebody like me. And then if you don't have it, it's just not there. So for me, that is my thought. And again, I'm not too stressed about it. You know, again, like I say, when I talk about the kids and all that, and not having kids, the reason I talk about that is more just putting all this into context for folks. So again, when they ask, hey, how the hell can Eli go traveling around the country for 9 months at a clip when he's 40? It's like, I don't have kids, that's why. So again, I'm not too stressed about it. Again, like I say, when my wife and I realized it wasn't going to happen, again, the problem wasn't like I was stressed about that or I was angry about that. It was more, like I say, structurally around it. You know, you have a house that's now too big. You've positioned all of these things that no longer work, right? That's more the issue, and that's more what's going on right now. I say otherwise, I'm like, you know. My wife asks me every once in a while, she's like, I'm like, you know, yeah, not too stressed on it. But anyways, with that, I think we will call it a day. Anything else to say? Nope, I don't think there's anything else to say. So I'll see you folks tomorrow, where we will talk about something else. I don't know what we'll talk about. It'll definitely be a new subject area, though. A new subject area.